Hi, I'm Zibby Owens, and I am the host of this podcast, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. I am also a newly minted USA Today bestselling author of the novel Blank. I've created a whole community of book lovers around this podcast, a publishing company, reading retreats, a bookstore, and more. Learn more at zibbymedia.com or follow me on social at Zibby Owens or join the community at Zibby Readers. Marian Keyes is the author of My Favorite Mistake. Marian is the internationally best-selling author of Watermelon, Lucy Sullivan is Getting Married, Rachel's Holiday, Last Chance Saloon, Sushi for Beginners, Angels, The Other Side of the Story, Anybody Out There, This Charming Man, The Brightest Star in the Sky, The Mystery of Mercy Close, The Woman Who Stole My Life, and The Break. Her journalism, collected under two titles, Making It Up as I Go Along, and Under the Duvet, Deluxe Edition, containing the original publications Under the Duvet and Further Under the Duvet, are also available from Penguin UK. Marian lives in Dublin with her husband. Welcome, Marian. Thank you for coming back on Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books to discuss My Favorite Mistake.
Thank you for having me back.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Okay, tell listeners about your latest book.
Okay. It's a sort of a midlife pivot book. It's about a long-term relationship between two people. It's gone on for almost 20 years. And it's been they've had a series of almosts. They've sort of been in love with each other for most of that time, but never really simultaneously. And then they've both got married to other people. And now Anna's in her late 40s, Joey's in his early 50s, and they finally reconnected. And so it's about, that people fall in love. We don't grow out of it, that falling in love isn't the preserve of 20-somethings or 30-somethings. It's also about the fact that by the time we get to middle age, we have all accumulated, certain amounts of legitimate shame. We've all done things in our youth that, if we had the choice to do them now, we wouldn't. When we know better, we do better. And it's about navigating those things we've done to people we love and to ourselves, and how particular that impacts somebody who knew you when you were younger and less clued in. So it's about, in many ways, it's about realizing that there's very, very little we can do about the mistakes we've made. We make amends if we can, but many of us, we don't have that opportunity, or things have happened as they happened. And it's about forcing ourselves to forgive ourselves and remembering that ultimately we are all human beings. There isn't one person alive who has not got at least one of those mortifying events that they just wish that they could time travel. They just wish they could go back and erase it and start afresh. And we can't do that. So it's a kind of a mature thing to do, to kind of say, yeah, I messed up, but I'm living now. I have relationships now, including the relationship with myself. Am I going to kind of shackle myself with shame, or do I just, live well and love well in the now? It's a tiny, tiny little thing about, menopause, perimenopause. It's not a book about menopause at all, but it acknowledges that, for, maybe 50% of the population, it's something that if we're lucky enough to live long enough, it'll happen to us. And it's about how women are sort of infantilized when it comes to their own health care. We're treated as children, and the boys know better, the grown-ups know better, and it's a little bit angry about that. But it's simply, I try to reflect as many experiences as I could in the book, because opinions vary, and I really think that whatever anyone wants in the situation is the right thing for them. It's also a book about family. I have written about these 5 sisters in the past. They've all had their own starring moment, but it is very much about how they're enmeshed with each other. They like to be involved in each other's lives. They love a drama. They love when somebody else is going through it. They may not be able to provide the right kind of support, but they would be very, very upset to be left out. So it's a comedy. It's a love story. It's in many ways, it kind of acknowledges the post-COVID world, where like a lot of us thought, this is hard. The way I was living was really, really hard, and I would like it to be not so hard when this awful strange time passes, because I know so many people who left their jobs or, you know, or toned it down a lot. I think a lot of us are living in different ways, or wish we could, because hard and all as lockdown was, there were things that, personally speaking, I found kind of nice. Not having to get dressed, not having to talk to people all the time. I love people, but I need a huge amount of recovery time when I've been with people. And those days when it was just me and my husband, they were kind of hard to get through. But now I look back and I think, yeah, wouldn't mind one of them now and again. So it's kind of a book for our times, I suppose.
Wow. That was a great explanation. Thank you for
Thank
going into
you.
that, the plot and the themes and all of it. When you were talking about things that we regret from our past, now everybody's regrets are on social media. At least I feel like the things that happened when I was young, at least they just like disappeared. But now, my kids are,
Yes.
they don't have that luxury.
You're right. It's brutal. It's absolutely savage. I mean, there are so many things that I am so grateful that maybe only me and two other people in the whole world know about. But you're absolutely right that social media is an unforgiving beast. And, we're going to have to find some way to manage it, or to kind of accept that, yeah, people are making these mistakes in public, but they're also, nobody can throw a stone. We have all, you know, it's kind of coming back to that thing that, like, we are all human beings. Nobody has the right to be judgmental unless we are perfect. And sadly, none of us are.
Yeah, I'm trying to write this book now about this and how really we all need to get back to some level of kindness and that we can't just keep canceling each other. I mean, who said that was okay? Why did
No,
that even start happening?
I mean, I agree. It's horrible, and almost, it's very Middle Ages-y, I think.
Yes.
There's no kind of room for gray.
Hmm.
Everything is so black or white. We are all flawed, and we all say things in the moment
Yes.
that is not fully thought through, or is not fully articulated. We can't just judge a person on a sentence, or we can't judge a person on a headline lifted from an interview.
Hmm.
We are so quick to do that. And I think the people who invent these apps understand that kind of very lizard brain impulse in us to kind of find somebody who is worse than us.
Hmm.
It's the very kind of thing of, I have shame, but oh my God, I have just seen the person who has said something far more stupid or far worse or far more hurtful, and let's all point the finger at them, because while they're jumping on that person, they're not looking at me.
Hmm.
And yeah, we have to find a new way of discourse, of public discourse, of personal discourse, and of social media discourse. Like, we need a new language, and we need new etiquette
Yes.
to handle this, because people say things online that they would never say face to face. And we have to find a way to stop ourselves judging people
Hmm.
online, that we wouldn't do. If somebody said something really crass to me in real life, once I got over the shock, I would say, well, did you really mean that? Or was that exactly what you meant to say? Or would you like to kind of elaborate on it slightly? We have to give people room to elaborate before we judge. And and that thing of canceling, it's not like people decide, yeah, we're just going to kind of tone down my friendship a little bit with this person. It's so all or nothing that people can't be allowed to exist in a quieter way.
Hmm.
That oneself needn't involve ourselves with the person who upset us. But no, we have to kind of preside over their total annihilation. And it's not healthy for anyone.
No.
And also, we have to look at how we behave. That this is not, we have had several millennia of civilization to get to the point where we don't kill people who disagree with us,
Hmm.
where we manage to coexist and live peacefully, pleasantly, where we can all exist and coexist in our differences. And we're kind of in danger of throwing that all away.
Hmm.
Like, the way we are all suddenly thinking is so primal
Yes.
and destructive. And life is hard enough
I agree,
You
totally.
know, and we don't have to be offended by everything. That's another thing. We can just say, okay, I don't like what they said, but it's not going to ruin my day. And I'm not going to get into a kind of a grotesque slanging match with them. Let them do them, and I'll do me. And I'll just live my life, and they can do theirs.
Yes, true. All of that. Yes. Underline exclamation point. Well, for Joey and Anna, fortunately, they had no social media back then. And so their past sort of frisons of, passing by each other in bars and this and that and missed opportunities and fridge moments and the whole thing can be sort of in the past and recreated here in your book. Tell me about creating this sort of sexual tension, if you will. Talk about the backdrop because I love the whole retreat, high-end boutique retreat situation and the locals not loving that because there is that whole sort of bougie movement, gentrification of different places. Tell me about some of those themes as well.
Oh, I loved writing this book so much. First of all, it's set in a beautiful place. It's set in a beautiful, a small little town on the west coast of Ireland in Connemara. And I mean, I'm obsessed with rich people, and I love reading about them. I love imagining what their lives are. I love thinking about how they go on holidays. I love how they sort of now have started to eschew anything sort of overly glamorous. The whole quiet luxury thing, and so yeah, in my head I created this retreat where like there isn't a swimming pool, they go swimming in the cold ocean instead. There isn't a gym, instead they go like marching off in the Irish rain up the side of a hill. But at the same time it is immensely curated and very kind of hands-on. Like all the luxury comes from the personal attention, I think. But yeah, the idea of creating this like luxury retreat on the edge of a small town, it can create, well, obviously a lot of excitement because it means work and whatever, but there are other elements at play. And so the idea of kind of whipping the locals up into a frenzy of suspicion and resentment interested me because of, again, how people are manipulated. And so yes, Anna does her post COVID pivot, leaves her like very fabulous, incredibly stressful job in New York in beauty PR, and comes back to do a kind of troubleshooting between the luxury resort and the locals who have been upset. And she comes into contact with Joey. And it was really important for me that these two characters were not 19 or
Mhm.
27 or 34, that they were, kind of, if their children knew about it, they go, ooh. And like, as I got older, and the people who surround me, I see that like our ability, our capacity to fall in love or to get crushes on people or to fancy people or to just kind of enjoy a little flirtation with somebody, it doesn't stop. I thought that like, I don't know, I would get to 39 and it would just suddenly, dunzo, kaput, nothing, dead from the neck down, no interest in that sort of thing at all. But that is not the case. And shocker, people do continue to have sex after one of those ages. And I suppose I also wanted to push back slightly against this myth that like women don't actually ever enjoy sex. Sex is only something they do when they want to get their grass cut or when they want to get like shelves put up, like that it's a bargaining chip. I mean, men kind of say it a lot, like, oh no, women don't enjoy sex, but like, yeah, she'll put out if she needs something. That again, everyone's experience is unique, but I know plenty of women who who do enjoy it and who do enjoy the whole. It doesn't have to be the full affair or infidelity, but the idea of a flirtation can kind of make the week go quicker. If you're in an office and there's somebody and you like the look at them and, there's a little bit of eye contact and smiliness and you look nice, whatever, you're looking well, have you had a good night's sleep, whatever. It's just, what's the harm? God, am I going to be cancelled for saying that now?
I know. I was
Um,
like, is there something you want to tell us? You are not getting canceled. No.
No, but you know what I mean? Suddenly people are like, no, you can't have flirtation in the workplace because and I mean, maybe not. I know people, vulnerable people have to be protected and from the abusive power of other people.
Yes.
I'm just saying that there is no harm with having an occasional twinkle.
Yes.
It makes me smile.
Yes. Tell me how you came up with, so the reason why Anna is back and trying to help out this family is their daughter is very sick. And tell me about that, because of course there's nothing more terrifying than the idea of a sick child, and like just even reading. Not that tell me about that.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I don't have children, and which was a great sorrow of mine, but I have 7 nieces and nephews, and I'm really, really close to them. And it is that terror of, I mean, even small things, when they were younger and I used to get in the car and they were in their car seats and everything, like the absolute terror that something would happen to them while I was driving them. It just, they are so precious. It's a
Mhm.
love like no other, I think. It's so powerful. And the idea of them being hurt and me not being able to protect them or to ease it or make it stop is so enormous. And so, like, it was painful to write, but it was also, I mean, I felt it and I meant it. Like, Bridget and Colm are the parents, and like Bridget has become this sort of tiger, to protect her daughter, Queenie. But the husband, Colm, has gone into like a profound depression and is utterly incapable. Like, that's how it's affected him. I can, as I say, I don't have children. I can't imagine how much worse it is when you're an actual parent to have a child who gets sick. There isn't a terror. There isn't a word large enough to describe that howl of, I reject this. I reject this totally. But it was part of, like, it had to be part of the story.
Mhm.
There had to be, yeah, there had to be, what do they call it? An inciting incident.
Yes.
And that was the inciting incident. And it had to be something bad enough to
Yeah.
make everything else, to kick off the kind of the rest of the book. I hope it didn't upset you.
No, no. I just mean you can relate. You feel
Yeah.
that image of Colin on the back porch, sort of his head in his hands. I mean, it's powerful stuff. But then you, of course, have the love. I mean, there's so many different dimensions of the book, which of course is what makes books great, right? You feel all the feelings. You feel the terror of this, and then you move on to the joy of that. And, how do you solve this problem? And oh my gosh. And right. That's
Thank
what
you.
makes reading so much
Yes,
fun.
so
And
affecting.
yeah, so
Yeah,
effective. Yeah,
you
yeah.
get the full gamut. Yeah, I mean, I write love stories, but this is more than just that sort of love story. It's not just a kind of a romantic love story. It's about the love of children and about the love of family and about the love of neighbors
Yep.
and people who are kind to you in the supermarket. I mean, I wanted really to write a hopeful book and a book that kind of made us feel, I don't know, hopeful, loved, to
Yes.
believe in love and to believe in our capacity for kindness and goodness rather than anything else.
Yep.
Because when I started writing this book, we were just coming out of
Okay.
COVID, yeah, it was early 22. And then Russia invaded Ukraine, and it was like, oh no, I need to write in about a beautiful place, about people being, ultimately decent and good and kind to each other. And I really hope that that's the feeling that people will take away from having read it, that, like, you know, most of us are good and trying our best.
Yeah.
And yeah, will be decent.
I know you mentioned a minute ago that not having children was a great sorrow of yours. Can you talk about that anymore? You don't have to.
Oh, I mean, it's fun. Like, even now, my husband and I will talk about what it would have been like, and we were so naive. Like, we decided, like, we wanted six. I mean, obviously, anyone who decides they want to have six and then they have two, they decided that's enough. That's perfectly fine. We're just about coping here. But I come from a family of five, and I love the dynamics of a big, noisy, messy family. And so we just kind of assumed it would be part of our journey, and we it didn't happen, and we tried various things, and we got to the point of IVF, and both of us decided separately, then together, that this was just for us, this is just our story. We decided that we had already been given so much by the universe, like, I mean, that we had found each other, and that I had been I'd been able to, because I'm an alcoholic in recovery, and, so I'm over 30 years sober, but that I had been, relieved of the compulsion to drink. And so that we had a happy, sober, mature relationship. And then I had my job and he was able to work with me. We already felt that we had been given so much. And my feeling was that I was afraid of tempting fate, that, like, I would suddenly call the attention of the gods to me and they'd be like, oh, you, all right then. Yeah, I've been meaning to get back to you. And he's not like me. He wasn't brought up in almost theocracy as Ireland was at the time, but he still felt that kind of thing of, okay, let's see if we can live a different life. And we have managed to live a different and happy life. And there is still that kind of flash of the ghost children, the children that didn't come. And I write about children a lot. Like, I write about families a lot. I write about families with kind of interesting, opinionated kids. And I think that's definitely me working it out. And he is also very close to my nieces and nephews. I mean, like, we spend a lot of time, we have so much fun with them. And then the older ones kind of treat us as the people they will ask for advice who aren't their parents, that they can kind of come to us with stuff that they might be a little bit uncomfortable about bringing to their own parents, So we feel fulfilled in that way. But, like, we acknowledge that our lives are different. And I suppose we try and look at the positives, that we survived that vacuum, that loss, and that we have remained companions, good friends to each other. And yet we've been enough for each other, I suppose. I'm always kind of afraid of saying things like that in case suddenly I'll be smited. The god of the smug women will, but, like, basically you do what you can with what you're given. And we kind of had a lot of disappointments by the time we considered IVF. And I didn't think it would be helpful for us to kind of court anymore. But I do know people who have done IVF and who have had children, so, like, I'm only offering my story, and I would never judge, like, whatever anyone has to do, because I've seen people, like, being gripped with that. I know I am going to keep going till I run out of road, and me and him, we stepped off the path, and that was just what was appropriate for us at the time. And, like, anyone who's gone through it, my God, I wish you every comfort and joy and happiness. And I feel you, we talked earlier about the worry of a sick child, but that hunger for a child of your own, it's primal, and I kind of think, well, obviously it's primal. It's, how we're still here. But no, I'm okay now. Most of the time I'm, like, really okay. And he's okay. And I think we very much made the decision to kind of, let's be grateful for what we have rather than what we haven't.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. It's beautiful.
Not at all.
It's also great to hear. I mean, I feel like there are a lot more stories that come out now about the decision to do IVF, and far fewer about not doing it, deciding to stop. And so I think it's great that you can share that openly and help people through that.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I never had any boundaries, and it's both a good thing and a bad thing. But I mean, I suppose the idea of kind of talking about things that would be regarded as taboo, it's not always a good thing to keep silent. There is something so comforting, I find, about realizing that another person has been through exactly what I've been through or is going through, and that they're okay. It's that kind of shared, I was further along the path and I'm fine now.
Yes. Even Anna's breakup and feeling like she would never find her path in life again, that what was she doing unemployed and back home and breaking up with the so-so boyfriend, and she didn't have to take that path, and yet you found a new path for her, and she is able to reinvent and start that next chapter. And I think that's also a very hopeful message.
Yeah, I mean, I think any change, I mean, I really, really dislike it intensely, and any change is uncomfortable because, yeah, we're breaking out of our literal comfort zone. And there is always that terror, for me anyway, of the path ahead that I cannot see. But the path will build itself. Like, sooner or later, we have the opportunity to, I don't know, forge new connections or find something new to do that we love. I don't mean just for work. I just mean like pastimes or passions. For as long as we're alive, I feel we have the capacity to have a good life or a new life, or that we at least have the opportunity to try. But there will be times in everyone's life when it kind of all falls away. I mean, it's happened to me several times where I just think, oh my God, I'm back here in this empty, strange, awful, loveless place again. And I don't know if there's anything ahead for me. But so far there always has been. But there will be times when it will feel like we've been annihilated. And all we can do is wait it out and be available to whatever opportunities or people come our way. Yeah, I thought I would grow out of those feelings. And I've since learned that we don't grow out of any feelings. They can be dialed way down for decades. And then something can happen. And those feelings are up again. Like the fear of abandonment, the fear of being loveless, the fear of being without a purpose or a role, the feeling of, I once mattered, and now I matter a lot less. And none of them are nice, but we survive. But I think it's really nice to know that, there is nothing unique about these things, and nothing protects us from them. Not any kind of age, experience, not success, not wealth, not people around us. There would be always times in my life when I am still, I don't know, 3 years of age and terrified. And that is fine. So long as I remember it, that this is not really about the now, it's about the then.
Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. Oh, because this is like so emotional, this episode. Oh my goodness. Thank you. I mean, it's wisdom, it's wisdom mixed with humor and just such authenticity that is what we all need right now. I mean, forever, but really, I mean, this is it, like cutting through all the stuff. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I think that's one of the great things about being 60 is kind of thinking, oh, I see all those things those people told me are actually true. Yeah. We never outgrow anything, and we never get there.
Mm-hmm.
The destination will never be reached. We're always just cycling through experiences and feelings, and hopefully understanding ourselves and everyone else a bit better.
Gosh, I love that. Marian, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing and being so open. Thank you for this fabulous book that I completely enjoyed, devoured, loved so much.
You.
And thank you for your time today.
An absolute pleasure, Zibby. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Zibby. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. If you love it, please leave a review and follow us on social at Zibby Owens and at Zibby Readers.